Honestly, look, Duet's a sick product. Like I'm not, this is not fake. Like I'm a very small department that's able to essentially maintain a full AI agent and grow it with not a lot of effort.
Hey everyone, I'm Bihan, Director of Product here at Decagon. Super excited to be joined today by Adam. Adam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Adam. I lead the customer experience business operations team at GlossGenius, which is a all-in-one platform for small businesses in the health and beauty space to run their daily business.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And today we'll be talking a little bit about how you've been leveraging Decagon and Duet in particular to help improve your company's agent. And so could you talk a little bit about, before Decagon, how did you guys manage support? What was that, day-to-day workflow like, and how has that changed?
Sure. Yeah. So before Decagon, our entire end-to-end process for customer support was manual, right? It was based on human agents being able to be trained and look up information to help any customer that called, emailed, or texted us in. Scale was a big thing that we were up against as our company grew. The reliance on people to continue to fill the need of support was growing with it, unless we had a solution that helped us answer more questions from customers faster.
And since you've launched Decagon, we've added this new capability product into Decagon called Duet, which is your agent building partner to help with all aspects of agent building. Yeah. Can you also talk a little bit about what was it like pre-Duet managing support through Decagon, and how Duet has changed your workflows?
Before Duet existed, we were kind of replicating what Duet does now with our own internal processes. So being able to look at the conversations that were happening in Decagon, pull that out, analyze that with AI to understand customer intent or where the gaps were, understand why some of the outcomes with Decagon were happening, and then have ourselves have to create and test on the fly any AOP or tool changes just to fill those gaps or get the outcomes we were expecting. So we basically tried to build a very sort of intensive feedback loop where we were analyzing conversations, sort of like thinking about fixes just off of our own guessing, and then testing them to see if they worked. Now with Duet, it does it all for us. It creates the entire feedback cycle on its own, identifying opportunities for us to improve, not only suggesting what we can improve, but also now getting it directly into the AOPs so that we don't have to think about how does it format, how does it fit into what already exists. And it has cut down not only on our speed to improving for these outcomes we're going for, but it has also pointed out more opportunities that we can improve that we may not be looking at through our own data.
That's awesome. And can you talk a little bit more about what that whole flywheel looks like? And in the past, did you find it more difficult to kind of build these net new agent capabilities, or were you finding it harder to kind of continuously improve this agent over time?
Yeah, there was a lot of translating in the prior world where we were able to get insights and we were able to directionally understand what we needed to fix, but nothing was built to understand or know exactly what the Decagon format was going to be in order to instantly make the change and test it. And so we were having to take data out of AI or have AI understand what should change about an AOP, but not tell us how to change it or how to format it or even to have the change instantly happen. And we were still having to manually type in and translate that sort of direction into Decagon's format to make it successful.
Got it. So what I'm hearing is that step of taking the insight and actually figuring out how to update the agent is one big part of how Duet's been helping the team.
Totally. And I think one of the bigger pieces, because it's within Decagon, is it knows exactly why it made it to a certain part of an AOP and what path it went down, which is stuff we were guessing at before where we would see a response, but we weren't sure what part of Decagon's AOP or tool was driving that. And with Duet, it knows that instinctively. And so not only can it tell us gaps and how to improve, but it knows exactly which part of an AOP or tool to change in order to drive that new outcome you're looking for.
Can you give an example of one of the most recent changes that someone's made with Duet in the GlossGenius agent?
Yes. One of the escalation criteria that we had set up initially with AOPs was about tax questions. Taxes are extremely sensitive, and we weren't sure when we launched Decagon how to handle those questions. And so we let the agent just by default escalate anything that discovered was tax related. With Duet, I not only had to analyze what the questions of taxes were about, but then search through our knowledge base to come up with a full AOP on its own that I just created as a new AOP immediately. And suddenly we were able to answer questions for a whole set of tickets that we weren't even trying to solve. So it went from 0 to 100% solving on its own with one single prompt to look into the information and generate a proposed solution.
That's awesome. And do you know roughly what was the impact on the business metrics from adding this AOP?
Yeah, so tax questions were actually, especially because it's Q1 and taxes are going on, tax questions were our third largest category, and we were fully not trying to answer them with Decagon. And so that roughly was about 5% of all emails that we get, which we now just instantly are answering. So we increased our deflection rate by 5% with very little effort because of Duet.
When Duet first came out, how did you actually initially start using it? And what have you found it to be most helpful with?
When Duet first came out, I was mostly using it just for Decagon product education. So how do I do this in Decagon's platform? I'm trying to use watchtowers. I'm not sure what should I do. And so it was very informational just to help me understand better, but it wasn't very action oriented. The onus was still on me to do all those things and to figure it out myself. And now I'm quite a small team and I'm able to build entire complex workflows within Decagon to solve new problems on the fly with not much effort, just because Duet can do it all for me.
There's been a lot of new changes to Duet in terms of both the capabilities as well as some of the user experience product features related to Duet. Do you have any favorites, most useful Duet capabilities or Duet features that you go back to?
I do love the ability for Duet to make instant changes to AOPs just by accepting the review that you have. When it proposes something and you have to copy it into the AOP, it's a little bit more work. It sometimes doesn't go perfectly. The fact that Duet now can actively make changes to things on different branches with just a click saves me a lot of time and also gives me the ability to iterate faster by testing it in seconds as opposed to having to just follow the lead of what Duet was telling me to do.
And talk a little bit more about this testing flow. How do you test changes with Duet? What were you doing before and what are you doing now?
Before, we were really focused on work really hard on AOPs and tools to get it as best as possible with no testing before we moved into the testing phase, because the iteration of AOPs was a little bit more manual and took more time. So we wanted to try to get it perfect on the first go and then just validate that it's working as expected. Now, that iteration cycle is actually different, where we can make small changes to try to influence the outcomes with AOPs and test them and then go back to it quickly because of the sort of speed at which Duet can help identify from conversations you're having places that it should improve and then just do it for you. So I'm not actually trying to perfect the AOP on the first try now. Mm-hmm. Instead, I'm tweaking it, testing, tweaking again, and that's making it easier for me to make changes more visible to me in a shorter amount of time and get to the outcome I need actually faster than before.
So it sounds like there's a lot of improvements that Duet's been able to help with on the agent building side with new AOPs, updating AOPs, tools. But this is really just the first part of this whole agent building journey. After you build and launch your agent, there's a lot of work that goes into reading all the conversations, looking at the analytics, helping figure out what do I do next with the agent. Can you talk a little bit about what your previous workflow looked like to digest all of this information to figure out changes and how Duet's changed that?
Yeah, totally. So before I was writing internal SQL queries to pull the conversations directly into a worksheet and then having just an LLM go through them and try to understand the intent and make up gaps that we were missing. But because Duet and Decagon are contextualized about not only the knowledge that we're trying to use to answer questions, but also the trends across different tickets, it's able to point out very specific gaps that are more actionable instantly than me having to have an LLM that isn't trained on what we're trying to do guess at cold emails and give us advice on what we should think about fixing.
So you've become one of the go-to leaders in AI at GlossGenius. What do you typically tell folks when they come to you to ask about how they can also leverage AI?
Yeah, I've actually been using Decagon as my sort of core piece to help demonstrate what AI can do for the rest of our business. Decagon is really, to me, a customer interaction platform. It goes beyond CX, it goes beyond reactive support, and it actually is just about using tools that you have at your disposal to meet customers where they're trying to go. And so some customers want to be in the product and they want AI in the product, but a lot of them just want more customized touch points. And so I've been working with people at GlossGenius to introduce them to Decagon's concept and actually try to get them to use it more for any customer touch points, because it's structured in a way that makes it easy to build.
Can you give some examples of non-CX use cases where you've seen some of this interest?
Yeah, I think the growth side or the onboarding side for us is a big area of opportunity, just because a lot of our customers are somewhat new to technology like this generally. They are small business owners. Their core job is running the day-to-day of their business, not necessarily working in tech all the time. And so guiding them through using Decagon and customer touchpoint AI to guide them through succeeding in places that aren't just reactive questions is the next place. So with growth and onboarding, it would be getting them through the onboarding experience, teaching them about the value of GlossGenius for their business specifically, or even guiding them through specific product paths that we want them to use in order to get the most out of our platform. And so not only is it just reactive, but now it's coaching and customer education tailored to what their needs are, and enabling them to be more successful in that customer segmentation.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we've seen too, where for customers who are repeat contactors, being able to even just greet them with a more personalized welcome message, like, hey, last time I saw you were writing in about, this sign up flow. Is that what you're still, having an issue with, or do you want to talk about something else? Adds that more personal touch and kind of moment of delight for these users, where they feel also a little bit more trust with the brand too, because they're like, hey, this agent remembers who I am and knows who I am and what I've done in the past.
Yeah, you want each interaction to feel more and more personal as you get to know the business. And so instead of each touch point being somewhat transactional, where we're just solving the question at hand, you want it to be thinking about what the user needs beyond what they're asking. How can I help continue to improve their experience with GlossGenius just beyond, hey, I need help with this part of the product?
So we've entered our lightning round time. So I have 3 questions for you.
Sure.
First question, outside of Duet, what is your favorite Decagon feature and why?
I love tools, actually. I think tools are extremely flexible, and suddenly beyond just being able to hit APIs for data, it gives me better flexibility to give Decagon exactly what I need in that exact moment. And that's something I've actually not seen in other platforms before.
Second question, what is your favorite AI model?
I love Anthropic. We use a lot of Claude at GlossGenius, and it is extremely powerful for what we've been doing.
And then last question, do you have a favorite customer interaction that you've seen in the platform?
Yeah, recently, actually just 2 days ago, we launched Decagon Voice as an off-hours option for our customer support line. And the very first day we launched it, we got a customer talking to it for 9 whole minutes, just asking questions and getting their problem resolved, which was pretty awesome to see on the first day. So that was really memorable.
Thanks so much for joining us today. It was really great to hear about your experiences both with Decagon and Duet.
Thank you so much for having me.